DY Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data. We know what you want because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors. Card Ladder. Join the innovators, not the imitators.
Hey guys, Brian with Cajun Cardboard coming at you from the great state of Louisiana with Coach Pixley and another episode of Old Head Hoops. Today's topic is who we would vote for president if we could only choose NBA basketball players past or present. Are we on the same page with that topic, Coach?
I think for once we might actually be.
We might have actually used the same criteria. And this is what is the word we used to get in science class? This hypothesis, yes, where it's really well thought out and there's only one right answer. No, that's not this. This is just us off the top of our head thinking about a list of 5 guys that we would vote for president. And I'll be honest with you, I might vote for these 5 guys in this election in 45 days. I'd definitely vote for 1 or 2 of them for sure. I don't even know what their political stances are, but I couldn't resist these dudes. These dudes are dreamy, man. Some of these guys are polished, articulate, well-spoken, good-looking dudes, super sharp. They can get their point across. They're very, very personable people on my list, at least. Yours is going to be trash, but we're going to get there. We're going to get there. I know you got Tyrone Hill somewhere at the top of your list.
Yeah. Tyrone Hill is not at the top of my list. And then what I will definitely say is, and I told you this beforehand to our viewers, I believe there's a chance that ultimately we're going to choose one of our 5, right? Okay. I think there's a chance we both choose the same guy. I think
it's possible.
Yeah.
That's a great point. All right, so let's get cranked. Okay, and at the end, we're going to talk about the trade. The trade. This is a trade that nobody thought was going to happen, that did happen very rarely with 20 days until an NBA season begins, is an all-NBA top 5, top 7 center in the league safely, top 7 safely, for sure, an all-NBA center, an all-star center, a centerpiece, a franchise-type player, still in his prime, traded from one legit contender to another legit contender.
I want you to pull up his stats. I don't know what his career number
is. At the end, we're going to talk about the Karl Anthony Towns trade at the end. And it's not just a Karl Anthony Towns trade. It's a Dante DiVincenzo trade. It's a, obviously a Julius Randle trade. Shout out Kentucky Wildcats. And it's also Charlotte trade. They were in the mix as well. And I know they benefited some way by facilitating this trade as well. But we're not going to talk about them because nobody gives a damn because they're not any good. So we're going to talk about that at the end, and we're going to pull it up, and we'll look at Towns, and we can compare him, and we can talk about who he is and where he is and who we think won the trade. I mean, that's really what we're going to talk about. First, though, I want to find out which NBA player, past or present, you have we're going to go through your honorable mention. For once, I didn't do an honorable mention. So give me your honorable mention list of NBA players, past or present, that you think would make reasonably good presidential candidates.
I'm going to go through the list. I'll just very quickly say why each of these guys. Okay,
that would be great.
It's a fairly extensive list. My first choice was Julius Erving, Dr. J, and I almost had him in my top 5. Super polished dude, class act, good-looking guy. People loved him, so that was obvious. Okay, one of the most popular players of all time.
I'll be honest, I want to talk for 20 minutes about Dr. J, but I'm not going to. Keep going. Yes. Right. What would we call him? President Doc or just Doc? President Doc. President Doc, I have a question. President Doctor.
Yeah.
President J. I don't know what we call him. President Irving, maybe, but people don't even know his real name. Go ahead.
Just Doc. All right.
Just Doc.
Charles Barkley would be a choice for me just because I want to see him in a debate and in a room full of world leaders and calling them knuckleheads and idiots and all that. Terrible. Michael Jordan would be on my list because I think he might be the most effective dictator of all time.
Well, the idea of running a country is to be the best. And, why don't we just pick the guy that was the best and that, prioritize winning over everything? We just got to hope, make sure his interests are aligned with yours because whatever his interests are, they're going to get achieved. Although there is an argument out there that he may be one of the worst owners in the history of NBA basketball. So You know, he is the guy that drafted Kwame Brown, so we need to pay close attention to who he would choose, maybe as his vice president or secretary of state. You know, there's some serious issues there. We need to maybe fact check on Jordan. That may not end up being such a good choice.
There is that. Okay, Magic Johnson is an obvious choice, just from a popularity standpoint. Obviously he's not the most polished speaker of all time.
No,
but at the same time, he's pretty astute business person from a standpoint of surrounding himself with people, right?
There you go. And that's the key to being a president is knowing you're not the smartest person and then surrounding yourself with people that you know are smarter that can do their job. Yes. Right. Magic would be good at that.
Yes. Larry Bird would be a choice for me just because I want to see the driest president in the history of the United States.
Purely for entertainment. Because, of course, I do not get the vibe that Larry Bird is the type of person in his 60s that is seeking attention.
He is not remotely interested in this position or any position like it whatsoever. Okay. I almost put LeBron on the list, but he irritates me with his public views and how he pushes things on people. So I took him off. Shaq, just because I want to see somebody huge in a room full of war leaders. Just
because they would have to renovate the White House, the Oval Office, Air Force One. It would have to be Air Force, Air Force 32 or something. They'd have to change some things for sure. For sure.
My last super famous person was Gary Payton, just because I want to see the greatest trash talker of all time in a debate.
Dude, we would be at war immediately. Could you imagine that? We would be. Have we ever gone to war within 48 hours of a president being elected? Gary Payton would we would be firing rockets in so many directions. He wouldn't even ask questions.
Yes. Next, I picked this guy because he looks like a president. Jeff Hornacek.
Of course.
Could see him there. Channing
Fry.
What
else does Jeff Hornacek look like? What other professions?
An accountant.
Yes.
And,
how about a financial advisor?
Financial advisor, yes.
How about a youth minister?
No, he does not.
No.
I don't see Jeff Hornacek wearing tight jeans. Really tight jeans.
Okay, that's fine. Maybe I do. I see him wearing Skechers probably.
Ooh, I don't see that either. Okay, Channing Frye speaks like a president. Okay.
I like Channing Frye. Channing Frye.
Good dude. Tom Chambers. I mean, do I even need to talk about it? Why?
Yeah. Why do we even need to talk about it? Whatever Tom Chambers wants he's the Chuck Norris of the NBA.
That's right. Ty Lue, because he obviously made it work in the Kobe Shaq deal. So I think he might be a great diplomat.
Okay, I tell you what, Tyler Lue is making a second appearance on the channel. If you need to be reminded, you chose him as your top 5 dinner dates, top 5 NBA dinner dates, which was, a huge shock. It rocked the internet when you did that.
Just stories, man. Stories. And then the last one, I had to give a shout out to our guy Garrett Temple.
Garrett?
Oh, he'd be nice.
Dude, Garrett would be a good president. He'd get my vote right now. Yep. Garrett would be a great president, dude. Yep. Great president. Because he's also visited every single NBA city.
By the way.
Yeah. Because he's played for every NBA team. Right.
He would have votes in every town. Yeah, exactly.
Look, there's something to be said. That dude has assimilated himself into 50 bazillion rosters with guys that, at one point were 20 years older than him and now 20 years younger than him. He's done it all. And he's fit in West Coast, East Coast, North, South, everywhere, dude. He's been everywhere. And he's never said no. He's like, I'll take my paycheck. And yes, I will groom. I shouldn't say groom. That's a bad word now. Thank you, Diddy and Epstein. But he's, helped along the younger teammates and taught them how to be professionals. He would be awesome, man. He would be great.
Little known story, the Sacramento Kings, when they signed him to one of his first big contracts, they put his locker directly next to whose?
DeMarcus Cousins.
DeMarcus Cousins.
Had to be.
So he could babysit him. Yep, exactly.
Keep him out of trouble. He's important. God, he's on that list of dudes. Yeah, he should be on that list. Man, I went through the list the other day, Jonathan, on Instagram, I think. And we were talking about guys that, because Derrick Rose had retired. And I saw Dave McMenamin, who is, by the way, an avid watcher of the channel and an Instagram follower of yours truly, Cajun Cardboard, an all-around good dude who just got married, by the way. Anyway, I replied to one of his posts about Derrick Rose retiring. It's like Derrick Rose is on that list with, we wanted to see Greg Oden. We wanted to see Grant Hill. We wanted to see Reggie Lewis. We wanted to see Lynn Bias. We wanted to see Penny Hardaway. We wanted to see we wanted to see DeMarcus Cousins, and Bo Jackson in football. And there's a long list of guys that we wish we'd have gotten to see their best, because their best might have been the best ever, or close to it. A lot of these guys. So
for sure.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's my honorable mention list.
Well, that is quite an honorable mention list, but it is an astute and impressive list nonetheless. All right. So let's get cranking. You want to start with your number 5? Let's go with your number 5, dude. Are you going in order, or is this 5?
I'll go 5.
Okay.
5. And I actually had a tie for 5 here, so I've got 6. I'm going to go with Joe Dumars as a guy, just because if there was ever a more level-headed NBA player, I don't know who it is, to be able to fit in with those dudes.
Bro, what he put up with, oh my God.
Right. And then he would be tied with Rick Fox on my top 5 list.
Rick Fox is bringing some serious talent to the White House, dude. Yes.
No doubt.
Rick Fox is clearly a good enough actor to be president, which, of course, every president, all they are is actors. So he would be a great president / actor.
He would win all of the women votes for sure.
He would get every single female vote. Yes, I'll be the first one to admit that. Rick Fox is a great number 5 choice. I'll give you my number 5. It's real simple. I started with an active player, Jonathan, and I'm trying to think through this real quick. Only one of my players is active, Jonathan.
Okay.
And I think he stands out because I think he's got a future in NBA management, but I think he's too smart for it. I think he's going to leave the NBA when he retires, and he's going to be he's on path to potentially be a Hall of Famer. Do you know what I'm talking about? He's an active NBA player. He's definitely the most intelligent player in the NBA.
I do not.
Okay. He spoke at Harvard, and he didn't even graduate college.
Oh, my God. I should know this.
Boom. No question.
Jaylen
Brown. First of all, I just saw my son Cam sent a picture of him today. We always talk about, hey, whose body would you like to change with? Like, if you could just transform your body, right? We're like Corey Maggette and this and that. He's like, what about active players? And Cam was like, LeBron by far. And I was like, no. I was like, Jaylen Brown. And he's like, you're crazy. And I was like, I'm just telling you, dude. So apparently he's picked up like 10 pounds post-Olympics, shredded, ridiculous, shaped like a block of cheddar cheese, just insane triangle. He's insane, but polished, super intelligent, well-spoken, 1 year of college at Cal, right? It was just a rental, right? He probably took, 40 hours of classes just because he could. The dude is like really, really ultra intelligent and polished and thoughtful. Now, I may not align with him politically. I have no idea. But Jaylen Brown, for active players, I think he's in a class by himself.
Okay. I went with only one active player on my list as well.
Okay.
And I'll choose him next, and that is Steph Curry. And I think Steph Curry, obviously from a popularity standpoint, now granted, based on his opposition to Trump, there's a good chance he may oppose all Republican views. I don't know. Can't speak for that. But at the same time, just from a standpoint of being polished and being likable and just being a good person, right? You feel like he is, at least.
One would think. He strikes me as a good dude. He strikes me as a good dude. He strikes me as a dude that if we, if he was looking for a foursome, God, I'm saying some bad shit. If he's looking for a fourth in his foursome on a golf course, okay, God dang, get Diddy out of this. Like, take your Diddy brain out, okay?
Good God.
If he was looking for a golf partner, okay, on the golf course, I think he would have no problem with an average common citizen coming along and playing golf with him as long as they love golf. My concern with Steph Curry is that he would only play golf if he was the president and do nothing else, because I think he is itching to play golf 24/7. I think that's really what he wants to do with his life. I'm not sure he has what it takes to be the president. I don't think he's seeking that. I think he's tired of the attention. I think Jaylen Brown is sprinting into the attention and sprinting into the burning building and would love to make a difference.
You may be right. I would say this, though. If Steph Curry did indeed do that, he would fall right in line with what I would want either of the candidates to do once they get elected moving forward.
Which is what?
For Kamala Harris. Go play golf. Just
go play golf.
Yeah. Let everybody else. Let the
smart people handle it. Right.
Right.
Okay. So I'm on my number 4.
Yes.
Here we go. And this is, you want to talk about getting the women's votes? Well, we got issues here. It's lights out, right? So
I didn't do it. I didn't do it, man.
How could you not do it, right? You like we were talking about changing bodies with anybody in the NBA. I would change bodies and faces with Wally Szczerbiak and literally take over the world. I would take over the world if I looked like Wally Szczerbiak. I really firmly believe that. Yeah. I think no matter what he says, he would probably get the vote of half the population. And then, like they say, women want him and men want to be him. That's kind of just the way it is, right? So Wally Szczerbiak was also a very good player in his own right. I got a chance to see Wally play when he was at Miami, Ohio, in the Southern Regional down and in New Orleans in the Superdome.
He's a good player. He's a really good college player.
He was a really good player and sneaky 1 foot bounce. 1 foot only.
And much bigger than you think. He was like 6'8", 240.
Dude, he's huge. I think we got to look this kind of stuff up. That's what this channel's for.
Yeah, he was a monster. He was a lot bigger dude than you realize.
Let's go with 6'7", 244. That's defensive end type stuff.
Yeah, he was a monster.
Yeah, he was a monster.
Giant eyebrows that he makes them work.
He makes them work, dude. He makes them work. Yeah, no question about it. Talk to me. What else you got?
Next up on my list would be, contrary to the HBO special that came out, Winning Time, I will take Jerry West as a president of the United States.
Winner, workaholic. Yep. No bullshit. Yes, He checks so many presidential boxes. Dude, that's a great one.
He's a perfect person for that, because I believe he would have the best interest of the country at heart. And like you said, no bullshit. And by the way, when he steps in the room, he is one of those dudes that even if you don't know who he is, you're like, that's somebody.
That's somebody. Hey, how about this? Dude grew up in poverty, had nothing, and is a multi, I don't know how many, but plenty of millionaire, right? Yes. And for God's sakes, he's the logo, for God's sakes. You know what I mean? And every player respects Jerry West professionally and as a player. Post career. Was his career after basketball better?
It's arguable, which is saying a heck of a lot, because
it is. Is he a top 30?
Oh, I think he's a top 20 dude of all time.
Be careful. That 20 is getting tougher and tougher to crack, because guys that were 10 are now 18. Be careful with that.
Think about this. Do you think Dirk Nowitzki is a top 20 guy of all time?
Well, I think Dirk Nowitzki's numbers dwarf Jerry West.
Oh no, they don't. Not even. They're actually not even close.
Are you sure? They both won one, right?
Yeah, career numbers. Yeah, because he played for a lot longer.
Well, that's kind of what matters, is what you do when you play.
No. Averages, it wasn't even close.
No, averages it wasn't close. But again, I mean, that's comparing Bo Jackson to Emmitt Smith. I mean, who's better? Emmitt Smith.
They played a lot less years back then, because all the different circumstances they had to deal with.
Because they weren't using drugs to recover.
That's fair. All right,
this is the stuff, Jonathan. This is the stuff we got to pull up on. This is the stuff we got to pull up, because we're going to have a short episode today, so we've got time to compare Jerry West and Dirk Nowitzki, Jonathan.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, look at the numbers.
Yeah, dude, he averaged 7 more points a game, but that's because Dirk's twilight years. That's his dinosaur years.
But that's my point. But even then, I'll bet you Dirk didn't average 27 more than 2 or 3 different times, ever.
Yeah.
He averaged almost as many rebounds, a lot more assists, better shooter, which is hard to say. How
about this? You could just stop, because first team All NBA, he had 10. Dirk had 4. That's the end of the conversation.
Right.
All defensive team, West had 5. Dirk, of course, had 0.
Right.
It would be negative if you could give him negative.
Right.
But Dirk had an MVP. But then again, I don't know back then how they were handling all that stuff. And Jerry West overlapped with some problems.
Bro, Kobe has
namely Wilt Chamberlain.
Shaq has 1 MVP. I mean, seriously.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right. I wonder what about PER? Just curious. Jerry West there wasn't value over replacement player. Something seems really weird and wrong about this. That doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to throw that out.
Yeah, good idea. Anyhow, Jerry West, when he retired, was unquestionably one of the 6 to 8 greatest players of all time. When he retired.
Yeah. You're right. I probably misspoke on that. But yes, I would have Dirk somewhere in the I would think in the 15 to 20 range.
Okay.
So Jerry West has to be, you're right. I mean, in just body of work, he's better. And he did all that in 600 less games. But I did want to look at Dirk's, see how many times Dirk averaged 27, which was Jerry West's average.
Because I don't think he did it often, dude. How about
he never did.
How about never?
Ever.
There you go.
He never averaged Jerry West's average.
Career average. Yeah.
Yeah. And what was Dirk's job?
To score. And by the way,
you're right. You win.
Jerry West has the highest finals average of any player in history.
Yeah.
He had a finals where he averaged like 44.
I think it was 44. I remember that. Yeah. I remember that.
You know.
Yeah. Fascinating. Huh. Dirk was in the top 5 MVP voting only 3 times in his 49-year career. All right. That was your number 3?
That was 3. Yep.
Yeah, I like that pick a lot. Not as handsome as Zerbiak, but still a good pick. All right. And for my number 3, I am going with Mr. Rogers. I'm sorry, John Stockton, with my number 3, because he didn't need attention. He just did it the team first. He obviously can put up with a whole bunch of hanky-panky and shenanigans going around, including some probably very likely criminal activity.
Yes.
He kept Adam Keefe in line, right?
He did.
Right? Just like, he was basically the White Rodman.
Yeah.
And they called him the Ginger Rodman. And John Stockton kept Adam Keefe in line. So I think John Stockton's your guy, dude. I think he would have been a great coach if he wasn't mute.
He also kept somehow Antoine Carr from murdering Greg Ostertag. I don't know how he did it, but he did.
Do you remember Antoine Carr's amber-colored sun ray glass thing? Yes. How do you play basketball in that? First of all, could you play basketball in glasses?
No, first of all.
Could you play basketball in like ski goggles?
No.
That's what they were.
Yes, they were. Yeah. But they were incredibly intimidating, you have to admit. Let
me ask you another question on the Cajun Cardboard channel. And this is why I'm starting to get paid the big bucks. For those of you that don't know, I'm about to be filthy rich. This whole channel's going viral. It has nothing to do with my co-host today because I'm doing all the heavy lifting, right? I'm doing all the heavy lifting. But how much would somebody have to pay you, Jonathan? And this is an honest question, okay? So I really want you to think about it. Guys that are listening, gals that are listening, you just made me laugh. Pay very close attention to this question because I mean this and I want to know an honest answer. How much would someone have to pay you to wear like James Worthy's goggles every second of every day for the rest of your life? Prescription goggles, because I know you wear contacts. I'm talking about when you go to dinner with your wife. I'm talking about when you go watch your daughter's volleyball games. I'm talking about when you give a business presentation on the 37 businesses you currently run. I'm talking about when you're giving lessons. I'm talking about when you go to church. I'm talking about when you show up at your grandson's bar mitzvah or baptism or birthday parties at Jump and Jive. All of it. Goggles on. How much would someone have to pay you? Let me just start this at $1 million.
$100 million.
Let me just start it and let's work our way up. And I want you to give me an honest answer. $1 million.
No.
That's an easy no. I'm saying no as well. No chance I'm wearing goggles.
No.
Yeah. Again, intimate time with your wife. You're wearing goggles.
All of it. No.
It's impossible, right? It's impossible to fathom, but there is a price for everything. Is there not? $50 million. Honest to God, $50 million. Nope. Your kids are set for life. Your kids are set for life.
Nope.
No, you're a selfish bastard.
No, because they'd be known as the kids of that dude.
I remember your dad. He was a high school basketball coach,
right?
Retired, started to succeed in the business world, then threw it all away because he took $50 million to wear goggles everywhere.
There it is. They'd be those kids. That doesn't do anything for them. Yeah. So they could take the $50 million and run away forever, I guess, but then they would have no life. So yeah. So that's why I'm going to backtrack on $100 million. I don't know if there's a price on this.
$100 million. Would you need? Well, let me ask you this question. You're happily married, right? Yeah. For what? Close to 25 years. 25. All right. So I'm better than you because I'm 26. But that's not the point. 25 years you've been married. What would your wife say to $50 million? You wearing the goggles?
Oh, she would definitely say no.
Okay, that's great. Y'all are very grounded people. You just turned down $50 million to put some goggles on.
Yeah,
forever, of course. Yeah,
she would be more adamantly opposed to it than I would. I think.
Okay, good. She's got street cred. She can't jeopardize her street cred with this dude, no matter what, walking around with goggles on. All right, we've digressed a little bit. Are we on to my number 2 or yours?
My number 2.
Give me your number 2.
My number 2 is none other than Pat Riley. I'm going to stay in the Lakers organization.
God, that's a great pick. Because, Jonathan, isn't Pat Riley just the exact same thing as Jerry West?
But
better looking?
But the Godfather. Yeah.
But the Godfather. Yeah. A little more sinister nature to him.
Much more mysterious. Much more like his office, when you walk in it, his desk is so far away at the other end. As you walk to him, music is playing and you're really nervous. You might not be nervous walking to talk to Jerry West.
Do you think when Pat Riley eats dinner with his wife, they're at one of these like 40-foot tables and his wife is down there and he's down here and they can't hear each other, but he's got a butler that kind of brings food and ketchup back and forth?
Unless Pat Riley is in another room with a table full of other women and his wife just understands.
Yeah.
That's the way.
Pat, I tell you what Pat Riley says goes. His career in college was awesome. His career in the pros, not so much. He's in the Hall of Fame, but again, I'm assuming that has nothing to do with his playing career. Yeah, because he won the 72 title. He was on that 72 Laker championship team that Elgin Baylor wasn't on, right? That's a video in and of itself, man.
It really is. Really is. Yeah.
I don't think it changes much about.
That's another statistical guy that you would go, he's better than Dirk.
Yeah. Well, Elgin Baylor, and again, I wasn't around. Now I'm old, but we're old. But we're not that old, right?
Right.
But that we recall when people talk about Elgin Baylor, like he was almost like Wembanyama is now. People were like, "What am I even watching?" And Elgin Baylor was kind of that dude who ushered in. He was more 70s than 60s, and certainly more than the 50s. And he was doing stuff and doing it in a way that I think other people were not used to. And apparently, he was jacked as well. Like he was a problem, like a way oversized wing.
Well, now keep in mind, he was definitely more 60s than 70s because he.
No, I know he was, but I'm saying he played 70s.
Oh yeah.
His style, in other words, it was like this is like some shit from the future. Like, what is this guy doing? He's too big to do this crap.
6'5", 230.
6'5", 225, which means he was probably 6'5", 240.
Right.
And this cat right here, 27.4, 13.5 from the small forward / guard position,
from wherever,
whatever you call it, right? He was doing stuff with the Rock when people his size were not doing stuff with the Rock. Like 6'7", 225, 6'5", 225 is like a good size power forward in the 60s for sure.
He was the first real game dunker, like as a wing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He was the guy. He was before Dr. J and before all these guys came in. He was that guy. I don't think he was that fluid like Doc, but like
not that fluid, of course. Yeah. Well, Doc is So let me give you some. His middle name was Gay, by the way. Elgin Gay Baylor.
Well, something tells me he wasn't.
Well, I'm sure he did just fine with the ladies. What if his first name was Gay and his middle name was Elgin? Then he would be Gay Elgin Baylor. That would be a much bigger problem. That'd be a bigger problem. All right, so let me give you some of these nicknames that this guy had. Okay, Elg. Fine. Elgin's a weird name. I just want to shorten it. Rabbit, the ladies, right? Okay. The ladies gave him that one. Motor Mouth.
What?
Motor Mouth. How about this ahead of his time? Maybe it's a harbinger of things to come. TikTok. TikTok was one of his nicknames. I recall us speaking about this on the channel before. Another nickname that's listed on Basketball Reference for Elgin Baylor is Aches and Pains.
That was a good one. And I remember hearing Bill Russell talk about TikTok actually one time. And the reasoning behind it was only a matter of time before he got 40 on you.
Dude, when you actually explain it, it's freaking nasty. That's a great nickname.
Really cool. Yeah.
TikTok. Cool. The Big Hurt, which who knows? Somebody stole it for Frank Thomas. Like I thought that was original for Frank Thomas. No, somebody stole it off Elgin Baylor and gave it to Frank Thomas.
Yeah.
That's crap. Elgin the Belgian.
Yeah, see, I don't.
He's from Washington, D.C. He's from Washington. Yeah, but it's funny to look at him.
It is.
It's funny to look at him. All right, moving on. My number 2. Are you ready for this?
Yeah, let's hear it.
You're gonna like this, and you overlooked this. And I'll be honest with you, I did cheat. I dipped into the well, and I asked Cameron. I'm like, Cameron, I'm struggling to find. And he came up with his name, and I was like, dude, that's literally like maybe close to my top choice. Not my top choice, but it's number 2, right here, my friend.
Okay. So let me say something real
That's
quick.
a good choice, Jonathan.
Oh, dude, it's a fantastic choice.
Look at the picture. He's in the Oval Office.
Let me say something very fast. Okay. When I created my original list, it was on a different notebook and I couldn't find it. Okay.
Yeah.
Shane Battier was definitely on my original list.
You use a spiral bound notebook.
I used this little
Trapper Keeper. Yeah.
Yeah, Trapper Keeper. Yeah. The Velcro. I had him on the list. He was like number 2 or 3 for me.
Phenomenal. Yeah. And I thought you would have him on your list, you know.
So he would replace Rick Fox and Joe Dumars for me. He would be my number 5.
Yeah.
No, actually,
not necessarily a good looking dude. I mean, not ugly by presidential standards or anything like that, but like, dude, he's smart. He's a leader. I mean, he bought into the system when he was a Duke. Let me ask you this question. When you were watching right around the Duke and Fab Five time, were you a Duke guy or were you a Michigan guy?
Definitely Duke.
Yeah.
Sure.
I knew you would be.
Yeah.
I knew you would
I really did not like Jalen Rose back then.
Really? Yeah.
I like him now, but I did not like him back then at all.
Yeah, I like him now too. Yeah. Those were, oh God, college basketball was so good and now it's so bad.
It was so awesome.
It's just, it's such a transient, nomadic existence of crappy product with a floor that's too small and guys that aren't skilled. And it's like if you took all of the best of something and then just like relocated it into the NBA 2 years early. That's really what college basketball is. It's like you stripped the whole thing of talent and continuity and pride, and you turned it into a business. And I know you're in the business, so I apologize. But then you just like took it all away. You took everything that was great about college basketball except March Madness, and you threw it in the trash can.
But March Madness doesn't mean as much because you don't know who's on the freaking teams anymore. And so it is as simple as this. When people say, what happened to college basketball? Well, the world went from Michael Jordan, Shaquille O'Neal staying till they were juniors at the same school, to those guys would either have not gone at all, right, if you could leave out of high school, or would have stayed a year, transferred twice, made a boatload of money,
played in Australia, gone to the G League, gone to, Iceland, whatever. It doesn't matter. They were going to catch a bag. And I think they thought NIL was going to help it. It helps the kids, but it's not helping them stay in college. Now it's helping those guys that are not going to get drafted stay in college because they're making buku dollars.
Correct.
But it's not going to change a decision from, a Shaq, a Chris Jackson, a Durant, a LeBron, those kind of cats.
No.
It really is sad because I was a massive college basketball fiend back in the early, even mid to late 90s, and then it just changed drastically. So
terrible. It's so bad now. And the quality, like you said.
Do you know how they fix it? It's real simple how they fix it. It's real simple. You either go out of high school, but if you go to college, they got you for free. They got you for free. If you go to college, they got you for free. If you're good enough to go out of high school, go.
There's another fix though. And it has to be that if you transfer, you only get to do it once and you have to sit out.
That's another way.
You have to. You have to go back to that old rule. You have to. If you want to fix it, you could keep the NIL stuff, and if that rule were in place, you'd still be okay. Along with your 3-year rule. Yeah.
I agree with you, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Because losing a year off your life, basically from an NBA scout perspective, is a big deal. Yep. You got a kid coming out who's 20. That's a big deal. That's different than a kid coming out that's 22, a couple of years later. It's a big deal. So that transfer year come back to bite you, Yeah,
it does for sure. And the good thing is, like you said, I actually talked to a couple of agents about this, and really the age, once you get to 2021, doesn't matter then if you're 23 when you come out. Now, if you're 18, 19 when you come out, that matters.
Yeah.
Right? But if you've looked at the league and the way that it's set up, you've got young guys coming out, or now you've got more older guys coming out because
it's
ready.
Dude, you nailed it. It's one or the other. It's like either a team's drafting late in the first and they're looking for number 9 in their rotation, who's a 24-year-old senior at a Big 5 or whatever, or they're drafting a kid who's 18 who they think could be the next Tracy McGrady, or he could be the next Jonathan Bender, or fill in the blank, whatever, Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, that's my number 2, Shane Battier. For those of you, I'm sorry, there are young people that don't have any idea who we were just talking about. This is Shane Battier, This is John Stockton. He was a point guard for the Jazz. He was pretty good. He looks like Mr. Rogers, and he's wearing flannel and could not possibly look more homely than that.
Hold on. Go back. That guy is the all-time leader in assists and steals in NBA history.
And uncatchable in both.
Yes.
And honest to God, tell me the truth. When you look at him, do you not think his name could be Ned?
It could be Ned or it could be Vladimir. One of the two. It
could be Vladimir. I've never really taken the far Eastern European or the Russian perspective on John Stockton, but it could be Vladimir Stockton. Or would he have a Russian last name as well?
I would think so.
Yeah, that would make more sense. Yeah.
Anyhow. Okay.
Anyway. All right. Number one. Who's your number one?
It's the same.
This is the moment everybody's been waiting for. I know
it's the same as yours.
We've got the most captivated audience. Just tell us, you bastards, just tell us who is the next president. Just tell us who it is.
It can only be one guy.
And it's going to be the same guy for both of us. And by the way, we're honest we're very transparent. This is not scripted, but I just knew where you were going. And I knew from the jump where I was going. Go ahead.
Obviously, Grant Hill is who we both chose as.
It's up. It's a no-brainer. Like, what are we even doing here? What is America even doing when Grant Hill is not already the president? And by the way, you can take your 8-year, term limit crap and shove it up your,
That's
what.
Right. That's right.
He needs to be the president until I'm gone. Like, I don't want anybody to be president
until he decides not to be.
I have no idea what his political affiliations are, and I don't care if they're aligned with mine. He's just dreamy, and he's just articulate. And damn it, I just feel bad for all the ankle surgeries. I just feel like he should be the next president of the United States, Jonathan.
I feel like he's going to make those around him better. He'll make it when giving any type of address.
Look at that blazer. Jeez.
Dude, he's going to make panties drop, and he's going to make guys just be in awe.
He's Bill Clinton, Barack Obama, Trump, and Michael Jordan rolled into one. Is he not?
Wow.
Is he not? Did I not just sum up Grant Hill?
And Wally Zerbiak.
And Rick, he's got some Rick Fox. He takes the best of everybody. He really does. And he's never offended anybody on earth. How many times can we say that about a president? He doesn't offend anyone.
Nobody.
And yet still gets the job done.
I'm going to tell you this right now, or ask you this question. How long did it take you to come up with him when you were thinking of this list?
He's the only reason I thought of the list.
Okay, there you go.
He's the only reason I thought of the topic for the video. And then I was like, but is there someone else? Could there be anyone else? Are we forgetting someone? And then I was like, let's do this topic. And that's how we got here.
Which my first list that I came up with, which had Battier on it, the reason I had Battier was because I was like, is there anybody even remotely similar to Grant Hill historically?
Yeah. Let me ask you this question. So this is another hypothetical. And I think we're going to be on the same page. What would be one of the worst places in the world to live right now? One of the worst countries. Again, I don't mean the people there are bad people, but I'm just saying like destitute, really in a bad spot right now. Just a really awful place. A couple places come to mind. Somalia comes to mind.
Yes.
Grant Hill, out of the goodness of his heart, says, God spoke to me. I need to be the president of Somalia. I'm going to go try to bring a democratic regime to Somalia. Are you packing your bags? Are you moving with your goggles?
I am getting my itinerary together immediately. It may take me 6 months, but I'm definitely headed that way. Yeah.
4 to 6. Yeah, you're out 4 to 6. Yeah, until you get your bags packed. Family goes with you. I mean, you don't love Grant Hill more than your family.
No, but they'll love Grant Hill as much as I do.
Why wouldn't they? Yeah, Somalia is beautiful this time of year. Hey, what if Grant Hill has to wear goggles while he's president? He still gets your vote? What if he never explains why he's wearing goggles during his presidential campaign? He still gets your vote.
Well, not only does he get my vote, I completely retract my entire thought about goggles and put some on myself.
Presidential candidate Hill, can we look? A lot of us have been wondering, why are you wearing the goggles? Next question. That's his answer.
And then immediately at the next press conference, everybody has goggles. Yes.
Next question. He pops them. Boom. Next question. Was this the most obscure, arbitrary, random episode of all time?
Yes.
Do you want to tie it all together with some trade talk with the Knicks and the Timberwolves, and we're going to leave out the Hornets, even though they were part of that deal? Jonathan, we're 20 days away. People might be watching this 12, 15 days away from the NBA season. I ain't need a napkin. I am really excited. There's a lot of stuff that can happen in the NBA this year, dude.
Let's segue real quick. In that trade, who would be the best president?
Well, I'm definitely not going with Karl Anthony Towns.
Nope.
God, I can't imagine Julius Randle's a real deep thinker. I also think it's possible that Dante DiVincenzo could have killed someone in a street alley. Oh God!
If he hasn't, he will.
If he hasn't, it's coming.
Yes.
Minnesota, beware. Yeah, I don't know, Jonathan. I don't like it. I don't like our choices as for a president. Yeah, why? Why would you put that on me? That causes a lot of anxiety.
Yeah, well, there's just not one.
Yeah. So talk about the trade, Jonathan. Let's do it this. Let's look at it this way. The Knicks got better. It stayed the exact same, got worse by adding Towns in exchange for in place of Randle and DiVincenzo. I'm talking about this year.
Yeah. There's no world where they stay the same. Okay. Their ceiling is higher for sure. There is a chance that he could cause a problem, but I think that team is so tough and got so much nastiness to them, even though they lost two of their nastiest dudes. Okay. I still think they'll be okay regardless, but I think he could hurt or he could really help from a skill standpoint. The dude is the perfect fit with Brunson as a big. Perfect. Okay. And they were talking about this the other day. I heard he did the best job on Jokic in that series last year. He did a much better job than Gobert did, right?
Yeah.
So I guess when he wants to defend, he can't. He's just so freaking weird, man.
He's weird. He's weird. And when you're in New York, everything that's weird about you is going to get amplified and scrutinized. And, New York fans are incredibly delusional, specifically New York Knicks fans. Yes. They've been waiting a really long time. They're on the doorstep. They're literally probably the second or third favorite in the East, running it back with adding Julius Randle, who they didn't have last year, basically. Right, for the nut cutting time, right. And they made this move to swing for the fences, which they've been criticized for a billion times because every time they have any assets, they dump them and chase the veteran who's maybe on the downside of his career, or they take a big home run swing and they miss. They've always missed, pretty much always missed. Yep. So here they are doing the exact same thing again. This is not exactly a low risk maneuver. Do you like it? Would you have done it if you were the Knicks?
I would have done it.
I would have done it too, Jonathan.
I'd have given it a shot. And I'll tell you, I think a key is the fact that Tibbs has coached him before. I know it probably didn't go great, but I think there's a familiarity there at least.
We talked about this a little bit when it happened because we were shocked. We're like, there's no way this happened without Tibbs greenlighting it.
Right.
He had to have, right? And so now you've got a team where for them to win the title, so Towns makes you a much worse defensive team.
Yes.
But you've got elite defensive wings to guard your biggest competitor, your biggest threat, which has two elite offensive wings.
Yeah.
And so it's a real problem for Boston because the New York Knicks is like Boston light pretty much, right? Yep. So we'll see. We'll see. It'll be interesting. But the Knicks recipe is to still be an average or better defensive team, maybe a top 15, and then they need to be top 3, top 4 in the league in offense, which is just not Tom Thibodeau's MO. That is just not, how he, hung that's not his shingle. That ain't the shingle he's hanging in the NBA. That's not what he does. Yeah. That's what they got to do, Jonathan.
Yeah, they do. But I think, I don't know, man, I'm telling you, you said you were going to pull his numbers up. Go pull the dude's numbers up, okay, Towns. Because if you look statistically, and you know me, I'm much more about the eye test than any of this. But this dude's statistical career.
You hate Towns too. Like you are on record as you just don't like this guy.
I can't stand
him. You don't trust him.
Right. But statistically, dude, he's like unquestionably statistically, he's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Unquestionably. Okay. And I have a real hard time saying that, but that is fact from a stat standpoint. So when you look at the numbers that he has put up, and the fact that over the last 2 years, when Anthony Edwards really took a step forward, he was able to fit. Dude. He was able to fit.
He shot over 40% from 3 on very high volume, not for a center, for a human, for a player. He shot over 40% 5 times in his career. That's half his career, more than half his career.
40 for his career, right at it for his whole career.
Dude, he's 40% for his career.
Yeah.
Holy crap. That's what Jalen Brunson needs. He's a spacer. So he's clearly the number 2 because, you know, Michael Bridges and offensively and Anunoby are imposters as betas. I think that's just me. I know Bridges put up buku numbers, you know, in Brooklyn for a minute, but like Karl Anthony Towns is the beta and Brunson is clearly still the alpha. He creates tons of space, in my opinion. So,
but what does he do space-wise for those 2 guys you just mentioned, not Brunson, from a slashing standpoint? Those 2 guys now have.
That's what they do. That's what they do. They move, they slash, they cut, they mid-range. Those guys are good wings, man. All around. They're better defensively than offensively, but they're very good wings both ways around. Yeah. And you think Karl Anthony Towns is an undoubted Hall of Famer?
Statistically speaking, I do not consider him an undoubted Hall of Famer. I'm just saying.
Yeah, he's got to do more. He's not there yet.
Yeah, I'm just saying if you just look at his stats.
If we brought him with Grant to Somalia next year, he's not a Hall of Famer. But you're right. If he has 5 more years where he's averaging 23, 24, and the Knicks go deep into the playoffs, he's probably a Hall of Famer. Make a couple more All-Star teams. He's only made 2 All-Star teams in the last 5 years. You know why? Here's something that we didn't talk about.
Nobody likes him.
Well, of course nobody likes him. 35 games, 50 games, 74 games, 29 games, 62 games.
Yeah.
Be careful. Be careful. Like one season is an aberration. 3 out of 5 seasons, 4 out of 5 seasons is a trend.
And if he goes down, they're in a totally different position.
If he goes down, you don't have Julius Randle playing small ball big. You've got what? Precious Achua or
Mitchell Robinson.
Mitchell Robinson's hurt. He's out for 3 or 4 months.
I know, but I'm saying, think about it.
Yeah. I guess the question would be, what do they do when Mitchell Robinson comes back and Towns is playing? Do you move Towns to the 4? No, I think you use Mitchell Robinson for the bench minutes to cover Towns when he's out, and then Towns is your 5, and then OG is your undersized 4, and you really could score the crap out of it.
Yep.
And for some reason, I'm going blank on the shredded, yoked monster young big that has no brain. That's a rim runner. Do you remember his name for the Knicks?
Oh, I can't remember it.
Light-skinned kid, good-looking kid, huge Blake Griffin-looking dude. I don't know. I can't remember.
Hartenstein's gone.
His name's right on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of it. For God's sake.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so talk to me. So you think the Knicks got better. I think the Knicks got better, assuming he's healthy. It is a risk. What about the Timberwolves? Good move for the let me just give you my take first. Absolutely incredible get out of jail free card for the Timberwolves. I think this was an amazing grand slam home run long term.
Yeah.
And I think they still are one of the best teams in the West this year, albeit it's a little wonky with Julius Randle. He's not the right fit because he's not the only ball stopper on that team. And I hate to tell the people this, but Anthony Edwards is a ball stopping son of a gun. Not that I don't love him, but
major, big time. And I would say my take on it would be that for the year, the Timberwolves got a little bit worse.
Agreed.
But like you said, long term, there's no telling what could happen with this.
Is there a scenario where, Timberwolves are in the playoffs and, they still have a center. They got Gobert, whether you love him or hate him or whatever. I mean, I personally, I don't like Gobert on the floor, but I know there are positive qualities to Gobert, of course. I'm not saying that, but I just don't like him, to be quite honest with you. I like him less than you like Karl Anthony Towns. If that's possible. I know. But is there a scenario where the one thing that I like that nobody's really talking too much about, they're like, DiVincenzo bring depth. He's a starter player who shoots 40% from 3, but he's coming off the bench. So your bench just gets much better. Yeah, your bench definitely does get better. And by the way, Julius Randle's an all-star as well. And he's a really good NBA player. It's a weird fit. But what nobody's talking about is our guy, Naz Reid, just got unleashed, brother.
Yeah.
And Naz Reid could be an incredible, versatile, flexible 5 because he's not a bad defender. And he is a very good floor spacer, and he can do a lot of things. A good passer, he's a good screen setter. He can play all kinds of different ways. I never thought he was going to be this good as a pro. Did you? Coming out of LSU,
never.
He was right under our nose.
Yeah, never. I thought he was stiff. I still think he's stiff. But I never would have seen him be, from a skill standpoint, what he is right now. Would have
Yeah.
never imagined it. Ever.
I mean, he's basically a little smaller version of Karl Anthony Towns, isn't he?
Yeah, but he's a better ball handler. He's a better passer.
Defender.
Yeah, I mean, he's all those things. So it's really
you got to assume he's a better teammate.
I would imagine. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I don't even know if the Timberwolves get worse. But what I was getting at is like, and for those, and I'm not an expert. I'm not the cap expert and start talking about bird rights and crap. But I know this. I know this was it for the Timberwolves. This was the final year with this roster as currently constructed. They had to deal Gobert or Towns. No one wants Gobert in his dumb contract.
Correct.
Nobody wants that. So that left only Towns. And they thought maybe they were just going to have to let go of Towns to get back a former All-Star who is a better than average player, who does have some value in Julius Randle, and then get back a really, really good bench player. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo is a really good piece to add to a team.
Very solid, yeah.
And get out of financial prism where the end was in sight and there was no way around it. There was no other way this could end without Towns getting traded. I think they did great in what they got back from Towns.
I do too, 100%. I do too.
So, again, I think it's a win-win. I honestly do. I think it's a win-win. And I think the Knicks I would have the Knicks my number 2 team ahead of Philadelphia. You would too as well because you don't like Embiid.
For sure. And
you don't trust Embiid, I should say.
It's just so wild that I'm doing this because Karl Anthony Towns is with the Knicks now.
That's wild. I'm almost enjoying this.
He's just he's a perfect fit. But again, I could see it going straight south with him. I don't think the team goes straight south though.
Yeah.
Just I don't think guys on that team. I can see Josh Hart going, okay, who cares? I'll play the 5. Move on.
Yeah.
So whatever.
Dude, Josh Hart would be a great teammate to have, man.
Oh, it'd be awesome. Awesome.
Yeah. Anyway, all right, that's it. Anything else you can think of?
That's it, man.
What are we doing?
Next topic. Okay. We're gonna talk about next topic.
Next topic, as always, we implore all 12 of you watching to give us your topics. If you've got an idea of what you think our next show should be, please let us know. There was some real negative feedback, and I didn't know it until it was too late I got a new microphone, and it is incredible. But apparently I needed to adjust the volume settings on this particular platform. We're on something called StreamYard. The microphone came perfectly formatted for my other software called vMix. So it's like, I sound like the white James Earl Jones on the other software. Yeah. Awesome. Like special, right? Like I'm a white Morgan Freeman.
That's awesome.
On this one, it was loud and blaring and it sounded like, an intercom at a prison camp or something. It was terrible. And so I've tried to dial down the settings and move the mic a little bit further away. Like, look, if I bring it on the screen, look how creepy, dude. It's different colors.
That is creepy.
There's stuff. There's all kinds of stuff going on, man. It's special. So hopefully I've adjusted the settings and this will be better. If not, then I'll just keep working on it and keep tweaking it. And hopefully it'll be better the next time.
That'd be good. Hopefully you don't suck next time.
Yeah. Hopefully I don't suck.
But
it's getting old carrying you. The only thing really that saved your ass is that you also had Grant Hill as your president.
Not really, because Pat Riley and Jerry West were pretty daggum good.
Yeah. They weren't as good as Ned, but they were good. All right. So comment below. Who did we forget? Look, we do this every episode. We're doing these lists. It's not a list of 100. You had 71 people on your honorable mention because you cheat. But I want to know in the comments, who did we forget that you guys would vote for, for president? And like for instance, a couple names that are coming to mind. Vernon Maxwell. We didn't mention Vernon Maxwell. Paul Pierce, Kendrick Perkins, a couple of the clear-cut, no-brainer options to run our country. We left them out.
Pat Beverly.
Yeah. Draymond Green. Yes. We left out the obvious choices. We were digging through the weeds for somebody a little more off the radar. All right, that's it. All right, we're digressing. Thank you guys for watching. Give us a next topic for the next video, and we'll do it. If it's a good one, we'll do it. We can do anything, right? There's nothing we can't do. Those are disgusting, specifically your left one.
Look
disgusting.
At the green screen, what it's doing.
Keep collecting. Stay positive in the hobby. And peace.